Jim, give me a thumbs up if you still hear me. Good. Hey, everybody. Guess what time it is? It's 5:59 and 14 seconds. You know what that means? We're going to go live with the Magical Mike's Ham Radio Fun Podcast. How you doing, everybody? It's Mike, KO4PDI. Welcome to my podcast. We're going to have a good time tonight. If you got questions, there's a link in the chat. Oh, wait, it disappeared. Let me go back and put it back. There'll be a link in the chat. You can click on that link. And if you want to come on live with me and Jimmy Reed, that is, Jim Reed from Ham Radio Prep. The reason I have my tech and my general is because of him. I took those courses and I was able to pass, and I'm still working on my extra. But if you notice the geochron's a little different behind me, I want to show you something. Right now, my antenna is down on the ground. Thank you. That's my All-Star node making sure I know what time it is. It's 6 p.m. I know I started a little bit early. But here, check out the geochron. Look just to my right, that little number 1, that is Hurricane Elena. It is going to climb up the Gulf and turn into a Cat 3 when it comes ashore along the Big Bend area of Florida. We call that the armpit of the state. Now, notice the cone of uncertainty is nowhere near me. However, it's supposed to get pretty windy here starting around midnight tonight to about midnight tomorrow night. And we should have winds between, I guess it's going to be between 35 and 55 mile an hour winds. So my tower is lying down in the backyard resting for a couple of days. Good news is I got my 9700 back today. I tested it out on an ISS pass. If you saw earlier, I did a quick live feed of an ISS pass, and I forgot to turn the mic on OBS. So everyone's telling me, there's no audio. Well, there's audio now. So we're here tonight. I invited Jim Reed, who is a good friend. He's involved with ARISS. He's also the guy that does the videos for Ham Radio Prep, of which I am. They're a sponsor of this show. And you can use my code HAMFUN and get 15% off of any course you buy there. And Jimmy's working hard to make sure I get all that figured out right, because I don't have it working right yet. But you will get the discount if you use my code HAMFUN on Ham Radio Prep, and you get a 15% discount. So buy a lot, because you get a lot if you buy a lot. And what we're going to do now is we're going to bring Jim Reed from Ham Radio Prep on with us. I'd like to say good evening, Jim. How you doing tonight?
Good evening, sir. Magic Mike. I am doing just fine. Thank you very much.
All right, clarification. It's Magical Mike. Magic Mike has abs.
Yeah.
I just have one ab right here. I don't have abs. So I'm not Magic Mike.
I got it. I'm sitting here watching it rain.
Yep, getting ready, because it's going to start here. I can see the trees are moving a little bit. I could even show you guys. The antenna is now lying down on the ground, so you're not going to see that. But let me just, if I switch over to the tower zoom cam, notice no tower. The tower is horizontal on the ground, and you can see the trees starting to shake back and forth, the dark clouds coming in. We're going to have some serious rain here this weekend, and I'm okay with that. I did all the work in the back, although cutting the grass Friday is going to be a bitch. I can just tell already. I might have to wait till Saturday till it dries out. But I brought Jimmy on here for 2 reasons. I'm grateful that Ham Radio Prep was the first sponsor I ever had for my podcasts and stuff. They helped me out. We got Ham Radio Prep, ABR Industries, EMP Shield, and I'm still working on SLNT.com. These are people that they helped me out. As a matter of fact, I got a shout out to ABR Industries. I talked to Chuck yesterday, and I have to trim. I finally got my tower to 50 feet, and now I have to trim the coaxes and resolder on the ends. He sent me all the ends gratis. That was so nice of him to do that. So make sure if you want American-made coax, go check out ABR Industries, ABRIND.com. Use my code HAMFUN. Oh, hold on. That is the GMRS radio going off. I'm monitoring a lot of stuff because we got this storm coming. So, Jim,
sir,
welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, we got Roger Weed came to visit us, and Iman. Iman says, hello, Jim. And Roger's here. Um, um, I endorse ham study. Okay.
Or ham radio prep. He said right
Yeah.
below that. I like ham radio prep endorsement better.
Right. Well, he just said, he corrected ham radio prep.
Yep.
And we got Greg. Greg came too. Hey, Greg. Greg's a good guy. He was vacationing in Florida. I took him down to Kennedy Space Center and gave him a tour of the place. And him and his son had a great time. We had a good time there.
You know, I love that. Don't even get me started on that.
Oh, the symposium that we were at back in February was so great. Frank Bauer did such a good job at that. We had him on 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, that's my happy place. I love Kennedy Space Center. I go there all by myself. I like to walk around and stare at everything and just sit there in awe. You know,
I could go out to Kennedy Space Center and right out to the Saturn V building and do that Apollo 8 launch simulation.
Oh, yeah.
Keep going back and back and back. It always gets me.
Well, you know, it's funny because the Delaware, what's the name of the group?
Delaware North.
Delaware North.
Manages the place, yeah, Delaware North.
Yeah. And I don't know if you got a chance to see the Gateway building. They actually have a Falcon 9 hanging from the ceiling there. That was an actual booster that was used when Musk sent his Roadster into space, the first Falcon Heavy that went up. That was one of the boosters from it. And it was amazing to see that.
It's very cool.
Now, I've been going to Kennedy Space Center since before they had the shuttle Atlantis building there. They just had a mock-up shuttle outside with the fuel tank and the booster, the solid rocket boosters on an angle, and then they had the shuttle launch experience. And what I noticed, like every time I go to that Atlantis building, did you get a chance to go through that whole thing?
Oh, that brings a tear to my eye every time too. I get all choked up. I took my nephew there this summer and he was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, I'm okay.
Well, now I don't even listen to the video anymore. I walk to the front where the screen is and stare at the audience and watch their faces when that screen goes up and they think they're looking at a picture of the shuttle and then it goes up and no, it's the real thing.
Yeah.
And the look on their faces, they gasp. And that's I'm getting chills talking about it. My hair standing up talking about it. I love it.
I have to do that next time I go.
And Delaware North, I have to tell you, they did such a great job with that place. Yep. But that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about ham radio prep. Now, a lot of people say, well, yeah, I'm already an extra. What do I need ham radio prep for? Well, tonight you're going to find out because there's new, exciting stuff coming up. If you want to learn how to use a Baofeng, they got a course for that. Yeah. If you want to learn what to do in emergency communications, they got a course for that. And you know what? This man has such an ego. He's in every video. You watch, Jimmy's reading you the text and he's talking to you. And I'm so used to listening to you talk to me now, Jim. It's like when you start talking now, I'm getting ready to take a test. I'm going to do the quickie quiz, you know. So tell us about the new stuff.
I try and stay modest. I'm in the videos because I got asked. So 3 years ago, I signed on with Ham Radio Prep as a writer. And I just came on to write stuff. And then because of some changes and because of some things they wanted to do, they're like, you want to try being in front of the camera? And I had done broadcast radio and worked at TV stations behind the scenes. So I kind of knew how things went. And I'm like, all right, why not? It'll be fun. And now I'm everywhere and I'm Professor Jim and it's just, it's a lot of fun.
It's a great way to learn, though. I love it. It's a great way to learn. I have to take it slow because I'm very thick-headed. I don't remember a lot of stuff, so I gotta have fun with it, and you make it fun.
Thank you. Here's the thing. So when you think about, most people think about ham radio prep for our license courses, and really what we're trying to do is we're trying to get you to your license so you can start to do things. That's our goal in the license course, and we want to. We're more than teaching just the questions, but we're less than teaching all the theory. So I like to say, somewhere between downloading the question pool and buying a big thick book from, one of the groups that makes big thick books. So it'll get you there and get you going. And then I think you and I both know ham radio is self-paced learning. And we were talking before, hey, I learned a lesson because I did this, or I learned a lesson because I did that. And that's where we want to get you to. So that's the theory behind our license courses. And what we've been doing over the last year or so is we've been expanding that to help people get further along with their radio license. So and we get feedback after people take courses, right? Well, I want this, I want that. One of the first non-licensed course we did was Baofeng Basics, and James did that early on to help people program the radio, because we're really committed. We want people to get on the air. We don't just want to leave them and say, oh, you got your license. Well, we did our part. Good luck. Have fun. We want people to get on the air. So that Baofeng Basics, because, we know, and everybody has their opinions on the Baofeng, but we also know that there's a lot of them out there. So being able to do that is good. And that, I like to think of Baofeng Basics as not just it's not just for Baofengs, because programming a handheld is programming a handheld, right? You're going to V mode or M mode and putting this in and repeater shift and those kind of things. So we're actually, I probably shouldn't say, but I'll say, I've been at Ham Radio Prep for 3 years. I'm touching the Baofeng Basics course for the first time. So we're going to be enhancing that a little bit. I won't go any deeper than that right now, but we're working on that. All that to say, we're doing non-licensed courses to try and help people move along in their ham careers. The first one we did was last year. We put together a course that we called the HF Masterclass. This is a course where if you've got your general license, you decide you want to do HF, you don't have an Elmer around to help you, or you learn differently than having, than talking with someone. This is a course where you can get going on HF, and it helps you decide what equipment to buy. It talks about power supplies and propagation and building antennas and going out on POTA things. All those things are built into that course. And it's been pretty successful. People have been giving us really good feedback on that.
That's fantastic. And, 2 years ago, I was at Huntsville and I went to the DX dinner. And at the DX dinner, the keynote speaker comes up, and this is how he opened. He goes, "What is it with ham radio guys? You get 3 in a room, and in 10 minutes, you have 2 clubs." And well, you're laughing because it's true. It's so many ham guys can relate to this. And I have noticed, and I'm not putting anybody down when I say this, there are guys that are in their ways, they're stuck in their ways, and I'm never going to do that. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't want. Well, I did a fundraiser earlier this year for James Lee to raise some money for him because he needed a new wheelchair, he needed all kinds of stuff. Anyway, we did this fundraiser. We raised about $2,000, but shout out to Ham Radio Outlet. They gave me 2 HTs, 2 Yaesu HTs to give away. Both of them one of them was won by a woman that doesn't have her license. And I said, "You want to get your license so you know how to use that, right?" She's like, "Yeah." Also, when I failed my extra test the last time, there was a woman there who got her tech license and took her general test at the same time and got her general, but never followed up to do anything with it. She got her license, but she's not using it. I'm trying to, and she's a big prepper, and this is the problem with people that are strictly preppers. I'll buy the radio. I have it for an emergency. I'll put it in a Faraday cage, and when the crap hits the fan, I'll have it ready to go. Yeah, but you won't know how to use it. That's the thing. If you don't get out, it's just like if you ride a bike and you stop riding your bike for 6 months and you try to get back on a bike, you're not going to do 20 miles the first time out.
Yep.
Because your body's not used to it. You have to make use of it. And the fear, mic fright is a big thing. People are afraid to get started. Oh, who am I going to talk to? I don't know anybody. That's the problem. That's why I did Ham Radio Fun. That's why I do this channel, because I want to bring people in and show them, hey, it's a lot of fun to play with these radios. And, I'll never forget doing Parks on the Air. I had my Yaesu 891 in my car and an ATOS antenna, and I'm doing Parks on the Air from Washington Oaks Park, which is about 4 miles from me, right on the ocean. And I hear in a pileup, very faintly, VK. And I went, everybody shut up. Just the VK station. Come back to me. And I got from my car a guy in Australia. And it blew my mind. Now that is killer, man, when that happens. You know what I mean? It's like, I think back to the big giant. I had a Motorola CB radio. It was this big. It was as big as my 9700, sitting on the hump in my Chevy Bel Air station, my 1965 Chevy Bel Air station wagon. I volunteered with the civil defense in my town, and I was happy if I could talk to somebody a mile away. And here I am in my car with a radio that's much smaller, tinier, and I'm talking to Australia. And it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. That's why we get our licenses.
Absolutely.
That's why we use it. That's why we get out and do parks on the air and stuff like that, because it is fun, you know?
We want people to get that little tingle, right? My first DX contact was, I was still a technician, 10 meters. I went from Atlanta to Canada, and I was just blown away by being able to do that. So that was really exciting.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny. My brother got into ham radio way before I did. I think 2002, he got his tech license, and he never advanced past that. And he kept telling me when I moved to Florida, you got to get your license, got to get your license, got to get your license. All right, I got my license. So I got my tech, and I used to fly model airplanes. I had about 30 model airplanes hanging from my ceiling. The biggest one was a Cessna 182 with a 6-foot wingspan, and that was a blast to fly. But he said to me, he goes, you're going to get your license. You're never going to fly your model airplanes again. I'm like, oh, come on. I go out every morning. I meet with the guys at the field. We hang out. I have not flown a model airplane since the day I got my tech license in April of 21. All right. So actually, no. Yeah, it was 21 I got it, April of 21. And then in August, I got my general. But you're right about having somebody lead you along when you get into the hobby, because that's one nice thing about ham radio prep. By the way, everybody, if you notice, I posted a link in the chat. If you would like to come on and ask Jim or I a question, click on that link and I will add you to the screen and you can come on and talk too. But so Jim, what do you have in the future for ham radio prep? What's the newest thing there now?
So talk about that love of learning and being able to kind of get going. The next most important thing that people told us, and these are our students who do stuff, is I want to do emergency communications. I want to do MCOM, and I want to do it the right way. And my boss, James, has the same feeling that you do about not wanting to put a radio in a drawer. And, you know, you wouldn't go buy a car and not learn to drive it, not keep up on driving it, and only drive it in an emergency. Same thing with the radio is our philosophy. And I really agree with that. So we put together a course on emergency communications, and we started back in April, and we just put it out in September, and it's our biggest course ever. And when I say biggest, I mean, it has the most video and multimedia content of any course we've done. It's over 5 hours of video across 19 lessons. And it's for multiple people in multiple places in their license level and ham experience. So it starts out with just simply, what radio do I want to buy? How do I program a radio? The first 9 lessons are we call them the big city marathon lessons, because we use that as a concept and saying, all right, your first Aries, Races, Auxcom, MCOM, whatever event is probably going to be going and helping out at a marathon or a parade or one of those things. Mm-hmm. So let's walk you through that. And we walk through those things to get people going and to understand what radio do I need? What accessories do I need? How do I program it manually? Because you could be out in a park somewhere and, oh crap, we're going to have to change frequencies because of QRM or something. You better be able to know how to plug that stuff into your radio. How do I program it with a computer? We show you that too. All that leads up to James and I going to the Atlanta's Peachtree Road Race, and we participate. And James is a very first time participant in doing this kind of thing. So we're able to go with him, watch him, and sit down and get his feedback along the way. So you hear from a student and you get their feedback as they go along. So somebody who's in the same scenario that you are goes through that. So then once we finish the basics part with the Big City Marathon, we start and shift and take you through different MCOM scenarios. So we spend a chapter on doing things like working with Skywarn and understanding what you need there, and mobile radios, and being able to get signed up and get the courses and be a Skywarn reporter. We spend a chapter on building a Go kit. And you mentioned James Lee. We talked to James Lee as one of our experts. So we've got a lot of experts in here. Because we took so long to build this class, we were able to do things like go to Dayton and talk to experts about Skywarn or Saturn or some of these other MCOM things, and build that into the courses as well. So you're going to see that as we go through. So we spend a really long lesson, probably our longest lesson, is going through hurricane deployment. So Hurricane Maria happened, and we were able to find hams who deployed to Hurricane Maria as part of the ARL / Salvation Army or Red Cross relief effort. And we've got their boots on the ground analysis of what went right, what went wrong, what they do different, what you need to know. So, for instance, both the folks we heard from talk about WinLink and how that was so effective for them because it could send detailed messages from hospitals that say, I need this, this, and this, that you don't want to sit there for 20 minutes and read out over the radio and copy back and make sure. Put all that in a WinLink message, off it goes, and it goes to a lot of people. And because it might be in Spanish, because it's in Puerto Rico, it could be translated along the way.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah. So
I volunteer at the local EOC, and we use VARA, and we use, the one thing that blew my mind is we were on frequencies. I'm like, that ain't a ham radio frequency. No, that's not. It's emergency frequencies that MCOM uses. So we do that all the time, where we can send voice and data text using WinLink and using VARA on the same frequency. So we're sending data while we're talking to people in Tallahassee.
Yep.
So like in my area, if you people want to know where I live, if you look at a map of Florida here, how about I do this? How about I show you on my geochron? You can see where my little yellow dot is. I'm going to switch the screen around a little here. We'll hope I don't lose you, Jim. All right. So if you look, you can see that yellow dot with my call sign. That's where I live. I am 30 miles south of St. Augustine and 30 miles north of Daytona Beach. Now, in my case, about 80 miles south of me is Melbourne. There is a Doppler radar there. In Orlando, there's a Doppler radar. And in Jacksonville, there's a Doppler radar. But guess what? Due to propagation and the way the radio waves travel, when you get to Palm Coast where I live, they can't see below 5,000 feet with their Doppler radar. So they have no clue what's actually happening on the ground where I live. So we have Skywarn classes, and people are trained in Skywarn. We use GMRS radios. This is my GMRS radio right here. And I'm monitoring the frequency right now of the net. I am Whiskey Radio Quebec Zulu, which freaks them out because none of them do that. They don't use the NATO alphabet when they talk on the radio. So I get out there and go, Whiskey Radio Quebec Zulu 399, and they just call me Unit 399. Most of them are FCS numbers.
Whiskey Radio Zulu Sierra 363. I got my GMRS last year.
So you probably got it right. You got Whiskey Radio Quebec Zulu what?
Whiskey Radio Zulu Sierra.
Oh, Zulu Sierra. Okay, I got an extra letter. But
Yep.
I'm monitoring that right now. We have a bunch of repeaters here. Now, to expedite things even more for ham radio guys that don't have their their GMRS license, we set up a crossband repeater on a local hospital.
Nice.
That's simplex. So I'm monitoring that too. So if I want to talk to other hams, I can jump on that radio from my house. Or if I want to talk to other storm spotters, I got this. What's really cool is, say I'm driving down Frontier Drive and I see a tree fell. I get on here and I call in the EOC and I say, hey, this is Mike, KO4 Whiskey Radio Quebec Zulu 399, Unit 399. We have a down tree on Frontier Drive. The next thing I see is on all my weather apps, you see a little tornado symbol on Frontier Drive because they report it to the National Weather Service and it goes right back out so people know a tree fell right here. And the local people can find out by looking at their weather apps. So that's really handy. So like tonight, I am sure like around midnight, they're going to activate the net and they'll probably have people at the EOC all night long tonight because they want to monitor Helena. I'm surprised they haven't asked me to come in, but I don't want to say anything too loud. They might ask me to come in. But my house is pretty secure. I got hurricane windows. They'll break, but they won't get punctured if anything hits them.
Good.
And my tower's down, which it figures I just added 10 feet to my tower. So my tower is now 50 feet high. And I can't use it because I had to put it down. I just got my 9700 back today and I can't use it. But I got that hooked up to some verticals so I can monitor all the hurricane stuff going on in town. So yeah, so Ham Radio Prep was probably the first that I got to sponsor me, and I haven't made a penny from it yet.
Well,
because we haven't figured out what I did wrong in signing up.
Back office stuff to get that squared away.
Yeah, we'll get that straightened out. But I promote it. I remember Eric, KJ4YZI, down in Vero Beach.
He was one of the instructors before I was.
When I joined, I used his code to get my discount. And then I got a code. So now you can use my code, HamFun, to get a discount on it. And
that includes a discount on the new MCOM course too. So normally $99, put in HamFun at checkout and get a discount.
There you go. And now let me ask you this. I wasn't sure about this. I think I used his code to buy the tech course, and I went to use it again for the general, and it said I can't use it again. Can you? Can you use it more than once on different? So I try to tell people buy all the courses at one time.
I don't touch any of that stuff. They don't let me. I get to write the courses, write the instructional stuff, and be the ham expert. I don't touch any of the back office stuff. So I could not tell you one way or the other if that was just because something expired or I have zero visibility into that. In fact, even on your stuff, I need to send it over to somebody else.
Yeah.
And those folks handle it. We have great back office.
I
love talking to our support folks. So I'm sure they'll take care of it for you in no time. Yeah.
Once it gets straightened out, I'll be a millionaire. So I'll be happy then. Because I'm going to make mint on this.
100 air, 1,000 air, something.
Oh, man. I'll tell you, though, the EMP Shield, that affiliate is paying me money. They're doing great. And that's a great product to pick up. So check that out on my website, too, ko4pdi.com. And on another note,
yes.
When I was talking to Frank, we were talking about the ISS and everything. Are you getting involved with ARISS in any other way? Other than just being there for the event they had, are you involved?
So when I'm not working for Ham Radio Prep, I volunteer for amateur radio on the International Space Station, ARISS. I am the director of social media for the U.S. team, although social media is worldwide, so it ends up being worldwide, right. Which puts me on the U.S. leadership team.
Okay.
Beautiful. So I meet with Frank and our head of education and our head of ops and our folks at Johnson Space Center a couple of times a month to keep up on everything that's going on ARISS related.
Well, when we had Frank on, a few people made donations to ARISS. I just got a nice email today thanking me for the donation I made to them. I try to do it on a regular basis. I've only done it twice, but I took care of them. They sent me a coin, which was really cool.
I love the challenge coin.
Oh, I got one of them now, and they just emailed me, said they're going to send me another one, and I keep it next to this. You talk about space geek that I am. I built the International Space Station Lego kit, and I have that in a cabinet with all my QSO cards from when I talked to an astronaut, and along with the letter and the challenge coin from ARISS. And
I'm jealous of you. You have like 7 crew
7.
member contacts. I've been doing Eris for 2 years and a half. Long before that, I have 0 crew member contacts. But you know what? You're on all the time. You're doing your radio stuff all
We
the
used
time.
to have a saying in Magic.
Paying attention. I think I have 2 Eris voice repeater contacts. One of them is you, and one of them's a guy up the street.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, BFR is your call sign, right?
Yes, and for BFR.
For BFR, yeah. I remember because I thought you were saying BVR, and I kept saying what? I made him do it like 1,000 times. That's why he didn't get any other contacts, because I was hogging them. But I finally got it right, and yeah. But I mean, ham radio is so varied. There's so many things you can do. I mean, here I am. Now, Iman just posted something. Maybe you know that. He's in Northern Ireland. How would he know this? He says, I see GMRS Live is being shut down by the FCC. I don't know what that means. Explain yourself, Iman.
Yeah, I've heard that the FCC is maybe this is the thing I heard most recently about GMRS is they're doing away with linked repeaters that they don't like that. So if that's GMRS Live, I don't know the term, but maybe those are the 2 things going on. And I don't know why they're doing that, but I'd have to read up more about it. I don't even want to speculate.
I just heard my first crack of thunder. Yeah, the storm is on its way. Yeah, that's it. And Iman says, yeah, that's it. They're going to do away with link repeaters. They don't want
Yep.
But GMRS is still alive and well.
Yeah, and we were talking with some folks at the Stone Mountain Ham Fest last year here in Georgia, and they have a big GMRS truck, and they take it out and do Skywarn stuff as well. So they do events, they do Skywarn as well. The Ham Radio Prep, if you look on our Ham Radio Prep YouTube channel, we've got an interview with them. If folks are interested in more about GMRS, there's a whole "what do I need to do to get started" video there that we've got.
Yeah, the Zello wasn't exclusive to GMRS. Okay, maybe that's it. I don't know. But yeah, I like having the GMRS radio because that's when I check in whenever we have a Skywarn net, whenever there's severe thunderstorms or something like that, because of the radar thing I was telling you about, how they can't see below 5,000 feet. They need people on the ground to report them. Now, I don't go out chasing tornadoes. I don't do that. Although I did get hit with a tornado at my house once, which blew my mind. And I was very lucky. No major damage. Just my flagpole snapped. But other than that, everything was fine. And the funny thing was, it was in December. And we had Christmas decorations landing in our yards that weren't from anybody on my street. We have no idea where they came from. The storm picked them up and carried them to us. But that's the kind of information the National Weather Service likes to know. So this way they know the strength of the storm, the track of the storm, and they can predict other things. I'm hoping they come put a real radar somewhere near us at some point. That would be nice.
From there, another YouTube video that we've got was we spent 10 or 15 minutes talking with the guy who's in charge of Dayton Skywarn at the Dayton Hamfest, and he really explains it as eyes and ears on the ground. That is the most important thing that ham radio ops doing Skywarn can explain to can help relay and send that information. They don't want the twister people. I mean, I'm sure they'll take their feedback. That's not what they're looking for, right? They're looking for, hey, it's 6 inches of flooding and 10 trees blown over and those kind of things. That's the stuff that they can't see on radar. And so that's where Skywarn really shines.
And we have a guest. Chad just joined. Chad's got his mic muted and he doesn't have his camera going. Chad, if you want to come on, put your camera on and I'll put you on the screen with us. Hey, there's Chad. Let's add him to the stage. How you doing,
Chad,
buddy?
hello.
You know this guy, Chad?
Do I?
Yeah. Do you know Jimmy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So how do you know Jimmy? Tell us about your story.
I mean, I just know him from the course.
Oh, okay.
Great.
All right. Well, welcome. You got any questions that you'd want to ask about ham radio prep or Skywarn or anything like that?
I just started lesson 14 on my amateur extra, and I want to know how in the world am I going to be able to get through the rest of this amateur extra?
Well,
If I knew the answer to that, I'd have my extra license by now. I don't. I'm still a general. I failed it 3 times, but I never did the entire course. So I'm indulging myself by watching Jimmy as often as I possibly can to learn this stuff, so I can pass that test eventually.
if it's, I have to look and see because I mentally can't remember what lesson 14 is in particular. If it's about the math, just remember that you can miss all the math questions on the test and still pass. I'm not telling you not to study the math. I'm just saying balance out what you need to know in your practice tests. So let's see. Lesson 14, I'm calling it up here, is semiconductors. All right. You're almost through the really nitty gritty, how does the circuit work kind of thing. And pretty soon you'll be moving on to ICs and ferrites and other stuff that's a little more straightforward. So it's outside of that, I can't give you more than, just be repetitive and hit those practice tests again and again till you get the feeling for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done so when I did my Jim, I actually messaged you I think a week ago,
Okay.
but the beginning of July I knew nothing about radio, and I just got my general recently.
Perfect.
And
That's
so on top of using the ham radio prep, I also like when I would finish a course before I would schedule my exam, I would also use the hamstudy.org, I think it was, to help me get myself prepared before I schedule the exam. Only because like the questions I got wrong, it would keep giving me those questions until I got it right.
Okay.
But
exactly. Yeah, that works nice too. It's nice add-on to ham radio prep, ham study.
yeah, but I don't. You can't. You can't learn from that website. So I learned from the ham radio prep.
What
and
I
then,
found, and what I'm doing different this time is I watch Jimmy's videos and I take the quiz. If I don't get 80 on that quiz the first try, I go back and do it. I go to all the questions I didn't get right. I look at them again, and until I get 80 on that test, I don't move on to the next unit. I stay in that unit. And it's kind of giving me a little confidence now in that I think what's going to happen is when I'm ready to take the test, all that repetitive going over the same questions over and over is going to become rote, and it's going to stick in my head. I have a very hard time reading and retaining what I read. But by watching Jimmy do the videos, because originally, Jimmy, for my general, I used Microsoft Edge, and I could have it read the page to me.
Okay.
That's the way I did it. And so it's almost like you reading me what's on the page too. Same thing.
Do
And
I need to like record my voice so it can be an Edge now, Mike?
Yeah. No, I don't need to see you that much, Jim. Okay. I mean, I like you. You're a good friend, but I don't need to see you that often.
Yeah. So I get it. And I'll let the folks know that, seeing questions multiple times is good. I think, Mike, you bring up a good point is you learn by reading or by watching the videos. Some people learn by reading. Some people learn by taking the quizzes. That's why we have all three. So they can sink in and do those kind of things. And if you're just super into reading on our license courses, they're all on Amazon as well. You can you can get a book and follow them that way. If you're into just audio and you like to drive, you can get them on Audible. And one guy told me at a Hamfest that he made his wife listen to me for 18 hours while they were driving from like Florida to Michigan or something. I'm like, my wife won't even listen to me for 18 hours. How did you get your wife?
Even if you weren't talking about ham radio, she won't listen to you.
Especially if I'm talking about ham radio. So,
oh, man.
Chad, reinforcement is the key. I think just keep going back and going through this. And I hope that will kind of get you over the stumbling blocks. I'll just tell you myself, even that we redid the amateur extra course this year because it was, some of the questions.
New questions.
And I even found myself reinforcing things that I didn't remember from a couple of years ago when I wrote the course the first time. And so it's repetition, I think, is going to be your best friend in trying to get through that. We do have other study tips on our site too. So if you go to Ham Radio Prep, search study tips, you'll find a page with some other ideas as well.
Jim, let me ask you a question. You said something about Amazon. Do you have an actual textbook with the same text that you're reading in the videos on it?
Yes.
All right, go get it. Let's check this out. And this is available on Amazon, huh?
We've got one for each of the license courses. You can buy this on Amazon. It's basically the text of all the lessons, and it's got all the questions. Every question in the course is in the back. So if you want to just study the questions, you can do that as well. But same images and everything that you see in the course.
In the videos. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that you had given me one of those books for the technician when I saw you at Huntsville.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that was the actual text that you're reading in the videos.
Yeah. We also have, there's some extra stuff in here too. In addition to this, if you go to Amazon, we also have a basic paper logbook you can do. Of course, if you don't want to do paper, I have to recommend the World Radio League, which is our sister site that has a logger in there and that we're building out and is doing great right now from that perspective.
Perfect.
All right, I got to head out, guys.
Chad, thank you.
Take care, man.
All right, take care.
Drop me a note, okay? I'm sure he'll see this, even though he's gone.
Yeah. Well, he's still listening. He just
Jim
dropped.
at hamradioprep.com. Drop me a note. Let me know how you do. I'd like to hear, when you pass, because you'll pass. You'll pass. I'm confident.
I'm putting your email address in the chat. So people, if you want to send Jim an email, Jim at hamradioprep.com.
I'm not the fastest person to respond to email. I only look a couple times a week.
That's all right.
A lot there, but I'm going to put in the chat our link to our study tips page as well.
Okay, good. Yeah, that'll be available even if people watch the replay. They should be able to see that also.
Okay. So
on
for
YouTube.
some reason it's not taking it, so
no.
You have to approve it or something.
Yeah, how do you do that? Let me see. Edit name. Oh, the wind is starting to blow. No.
Oh no. So I'm in Metro Atlanta. We had big downpours this afternoon. It's I'm looking up here because that's where my radar is. And it's still all yellow and just yucky.
Yeah, I can see it's pretty. Yeah, you got bands coming up to you already. I see that. But the good news is by the time it reaches you, it'll just be a tropical storm. There won't be a lot of wind. 30 mile, 40 mile an hour winds. I'm watching the trees out. Oh my God. Check this out. Let me show you I can tilt this camera down a little bit too. And you can see the trees moving and the clouds zipping by. Whew. This is the camera I have on the roof of my house that looks at the tower when I'm doing live streams. Yeah, it's starting to get a little pissy out there. It's going to rain. It's definitely going to rain.
Yep. So
anyway, what else you got going on, Jim? Anything else you want? You coming down to Kennedy Space Center anytime soon? Give you a tour?
I was just there in July, I took my nephew for a trip, just a one-on-one thing. So
Nice.
don't have any. Right now, my next trip to Florida is Orlando Hamfest, which was great last year. We had our first booth at Orlando Hamfest last year, and I must have met 50 students and made new friends out of it. So just
Nice.
catching up with all those folks. It's great. And went to Dayton and did the same thing. We're going to be Ham Radio Prep team, World Radio League team is going to be at the Stone Mountain Ham Fest in Atlanta. So that's coming up. I think it's November 2nd and 3rd. It's the first weekend in November. So I'll be there. And then I like to road trip. So somewhere before or after that, I'll probably get a fall/early winter road trip in up to the Northeast or something.
Nice.
And then
When is that Atlanta? The Atlanta one, is that pretty big? Is it like compared to Huntsville? Is it bigger, same size, smaller?
Slightly smaller, but on par as far as like it's got a bigger boneyard than Huntsville. You know, Huntsville's got that inside boneyard. The Stone Mountain's got a
There's
bigger
the thunder. The thunder has arrived.
Okay.
I got all my radios shut off. Everything's off. It's just streaming.
If it was Magic Mike instead of Magical Mike, I'd say it was Thunder from Down Under, but that's something entirely different, isn't it?
It's an inside joke. Only you and me know what we're talking about, but that's good. Anyway, all right, Jim, I'm really glad you came today. We've been talking for like 45 minutes already.
All right.
We've had a max of 10 people watching us at one time and got a couple of thumbs up. If you people like what you see, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm getting there. I'm over 700 followers now. We got to get to 1,000. And I got to get you guys watching. And go check out the video I did today, a little short on my tower and how it had to come down because of the storm, which was...
I'll look for that.
You got to see my setup, Jim. Oh, my God.
Next time I'm down.
I built a block and tackle system with a 2,500-pound winch that lowers and raises this 50-foot tower with ease. The hardest thing is getting the cable to roll up evenly. That's about the hardest thing. Otherwise, it goes up and down so easy for just such occasion. When there's a hurricane, I don't have to call for help. I could just go out there and lower it myself with a battery from a boat, a marine battery.
We're talking about ham radio lessons learned. And one of mine is not to do a fixed tower. When I put up my tower, it's 30 foot. It's fixed. I hate climbing it. I'm not good at it. I can't get all the way to the top and manage some of those things. So I've got to bring somebody in. So next time I will do a tilt down or a collapse tower and make it more.
Well, the other thing you could do, and you could, on the existing tower that you have, they have, what do they call it? A caddy. You put a caddy on it on a pulley system and you hook the antennas to that, and then you pull it up with a rope to the top when you go to use it. That's a great little system to use. In my case, I could only put it about 40 feet until I cleaned out some of the woods behind my house. Now I clean that out, and I can lay the whole tower down where it doesn't hit any plants or anything. But
I could only really go 30 feet because our zoning is such where it has to be able to fall in my yard.
Right.
So if I went 40 feet, it would have been right there at the...
Yeah, I think they said something like you can only do 35 feet by me. And I said, oh, man, I wanted to go higher. He goes, don't worry about it. Nobody's coming out with a tape measure. That was the guy in the zoning department said that to me. He happened to be a friend who's also a photographer. If you don't know it, I was a photographer for 15 years. I did a lot of shoots for online magazines and stuff like that while I was working at the phone company. I did 37 years working for Verizon.
Okay.
In Jersey. So
Ma Bell.
And I just got yelled at by my buddy Mario. He was my union delegate when I was up in New Jersey. And what I did was when I did the tower, I got all 100-foot coaxes. I didn't care if I needed them or not. I want at least 100 feet because the last thing you want to do is be short.
Right.
So what I did was everything's just a tangled up mess by the protection box. But I told him, I said, once I finish the tower, I'm going to put a ring run along the back of my house so all the cables are nice and neat. He goes, you work at a phone company. You wouldn't leave a job like this? I'm like, yeah, I know. But there was so many things I had to do, which now have been done. I've got it to 50 feet. I'm happy. So now I just talked to Chuck from ABR. He's sending me a whole bunch of ends to resolder on and crimp on.
That's great.
The coaxes. So yeah, little by little. It's a project. I always say we tinker. We're ham radio guys. We're always tinkering. We're doing something. We're fixing something, tightening something, loosening something, putting a new wire in, trying out a new antenna. That's what the heck is POTA? That's what POTA is. You're out playing, so it takes time. I'll be happy.
I'm sorry. I'm in ham radio prep mode here. We talked about that a little bit in the MCOM course on how POTA is really an excellent way to practice your emergency communications.
Oh, yeah.
You're battery operated, you're going out. If I had to put together find 5 people to do an emergency communications thing, I'm probably trying to find some POTA folks, because at least I know they know how to get out and plug a coax in and do all those things on a regular basis. So I think POTA is one of the best things that's happened to ham radio, and
one of the things that's hilarious,
activated and energized.
I usually go to a field day with the St. Augustine Amateur Radio Society, and it never fails. Everybody gets there. They got all this stuff, and nobody can get anything to work. And I said, that's because you only take it out once a year. You got to come out here on a weekend and play with it and get to know it.
Exactly.
I went up to Wisconsin last November for Thanksgiving to see my mom, who's 93. Thank you, Mom, for being such a great mom. She's probably watching right now. Anyway, I go up there, and I brought my 705 in the backpack with a Buddy Stick Deluxe, which is an antenna in a little bag. Well, the days I was in Wisconsin, it was 17 degrees. I'm from Florida. If it's 50, I'm cold, right? So it's 17 degrees. And I would hear people complain endlessly, incessantly about the Buddy Stick Deluxe and how hard it is to tune it. And I'm like, that's because you never do it. Do you know, in 20 seconds, I had that thing up and tuned outside and ran back in and got warm and hooked it up to the 705. Why? Because I use it on POTA. I take it out all the time. I know how to do it. And 17 degrees was some great incentive to work fast, But
yes,
never would have known to do that had I not done POTA down here in the comfortable weather, So that's why POTA, people bitch about POTA. Oh, they're all the bands about. I'm like, thank God there's POTA out there. There's guys using radios that normally wouldn't be doing it. And it's a lot of fun. And I got to thank Mike K at MRD. He's the one that got me into POTA. And I love it.
Well, I talked about making friends from one of the students that I met at the Hamfest, Renee and her husband, and Rael. And talking with Renee about POTA, she's like, what we did? It's not even an award, but we did all original 13 colonies. We activated from there. And I'm like, damn, I want to do that. So
I didn't do 13 colonies this year, but I've done it. I got 2 certificates for clean sweeps. So I'm kind of past it.
So yeah, they're road tripping and they're like, all right, well, we need Pennsylvania. Let's go to Pennsylvania. And I love that.
Wow.
So
that's great.
That getting people out and playing radio. What could be wrong with that?
And then there's the contest, the Route 66 contest is a blast. That was last weekend, I think. That's a fun contest to get into.
USO parties. One of my first experiences in kind of going out by myself was I went down to the Savannah, Tybee Island area of Georgia, and I just activated 3 counties while on that QSO party weekend. So it was nice to do something different, and that kind of got me started on that. I've been doing POTA since the original national parks on the air. A buddy of mine and I
was it 16, I think.
2016. We went to Acadia National Park and activated that, and then activated some other stuff in the area. Later that year, we went to Dry Tortugas down in the Florida Keys and activated there. So we kind of the polar as far as you could get north and south on the East Coast. And then just because of personal and work travel, I was able to do a park in Alaska while I was on a cruise, and I went to San Diego for work and was able to do a park with a handheld. So there's so much you can do.
There's a park by me, Princess Place Preserve, which is inside Pelsia Creek State Conservation Area.
Right.
I love going there because every time I get a new antenna, I go there and I do a POTA activation and activate it. Well, I'm out there one day with my 705 and doing QRP. I didn't even have the amp on it at the time. And I'm on 18157. There are a few people who have this bug up their butt saying that POTA is not supposed to be done on 17 meters. Bull. It's not a contest. It's an activity. So you can do it on 17 meters. So I'm out there on 18157, and I got somebody right next to me, and I'm hearing these people talking, and I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, I had to move like 3 times, and I finally found a quiet frequency, and I got these people like actually like 1 hertz above me, and I was getting pissed. So I tuned up, and I said, hey, I've been here for an hour. Can you guys go someplace else? It turned out it was the 17-meter activity group. I don't know if you ever got involved with them. Mm-hmm. Every day, at what time is it? At I think it's 17:30 UTC, which is 1:30 Eastern.
Right.
They're on 18157.5. And all you do is you get on that group. You can go to hfqso.com and log in there and put your call sign. If you're mobile, if you're QRP, you get picked first, and you get to give out your call sign, and people from all over the world respond and give you a signal report. You're not making QSOs. They're just giving you a signal report, but you get an idea how good is your system.
Nice.
You know? So I've done it from my car. I've done it from here, just sitting at home. I've done it when I'm out on a parks activation. I get on it and do a couple of reports for people there. And it's a lot, and a bunch of really nice guys. They're there every single day at 1:30 Eastern, 17:30 UTC, 18.1575. So I highly suggest anybody who wants to get in, you want to see if your antenna's working, get on there and shout out your call sign, and they will register you and keep you in there. And I never would have known about this if I hadn't been on a POTA activation and they were stepping on me.
Have you ever done 1010?
What's 1010? No.
1010 is the 10-meter club, and you make 10 contacts with a 1010 member, and you get a 1010 number, and they meet every 8 every day at like 1800 or something. They've got a net. So 28 something, because it's 10 meters.
Is it in NetLogger? I can find it in NetLogger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If
it's an actual net, yeah, I'll look it up. The 1010 Club. Okay, I'll try
Club,
that.
And then if you like to do morning HF, there's the South Cars, East Cars groups that are on right around 7.240 or 7.250.
Okay.
A couple of recurring nets there too. Andy's a member of 1010.
Andy Cowley's a member. You know, Jim, I don't know about you, but when I started my YouTube channel and Andy started following me, I was like, I've made it. I am there. I've arrived. I'm a YouTuber. Andy Cowley follows me. Thank you, Andy, for the support. He's over on the other side of the pond also. And yeah, he does a good job. He's a good guy. He comes to all my stuff, and I totally appreciate it, Andy. All right. On that note, we've been on almost an hour, and I think if you got any final thoughts you'd like to give out, tell them about the code where they can get a discount on Ham Radio Prep.
Yeah. So Ham Radio Prep, we've got all 3 levels of US license course. We've got the HF Masterclass, and we got Baofeng Basics, soon to be something else, and we've got the new Emergency Communications 101 course. You can get a discount by going to Ham Radio Prep, and when you check out, put in Ham Fun, because that's Mike's checkout code, and Mike will get credit for it. So you're supporting the channel at the same time you're going over and supporting Ham Radio Prep. So we're really excited about the new MCOM course and hope folks check it out. We're also excited about World Radio League, which is our logger, worldradioleague.com. You can go in. It's a free logger. We've had it out for just a year now. We're continuing to build and add features and add releases every month. We also have a mobile app as well, so you can go out and do your POTA and upload it and see all the POTA spots, and all those kind of things are integrated into the World Radio League logger. So excited to be able to talk about those things. And Mike, I really appreciate you having me out today, and I appreciate all the support you've given us too. That's terrific. Thank you very much.
Well, I need to be spoon fed for me to learn. And yeah, I was just showing everybody what it looks like outside right now. The storm has arrived, and I will be getting stuff's getting wet now. So there you go. You can see it. It's pretty wet out there, and the wind's going to start howling soon. And I'll be getting off here just in time before the serious thunder and lightning arrives.
Stay safe, man. I'll hopefully I'll be staying drier than they anticipate, and we'll all come through this. And on Saturday, we'll all go play POTA or something because it'll be beautiful weather.
It will, because after the storm goes through, there'll be no humidity. Everything. It'll hopefully it gets cool enough to kill all the bugs. I don't have to worry. Well, up by you, it's probably getting cool already at night. It's only been getting down to the 60s here, so we need it to go down into the 50s a couple of nights, and that'll do away with the mosquitoes. I'll be very happy. So, Jim, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for the lovely conversation and the information on Ham Radio Prep. And I'll keep in touch. We will do more. Yeah, if you come to Florida, let me know. I will make it a point to meet you at Kennedy Space Center and give you a tour. And you can ask Greg how much fun that was.
All right.
I had him and his son exhausted by the end of the day.
Nice.
Actually, I was exhausted. I took my car and went home, but they went to see the Hall of Fame then after that. So it was really cool.
We need to do the old Cape tour. I'd like to do that again if you've ever.
I would too. I want to see. If you go to the Atlantis building, they have two artifacts, one from the Challenger and one from the Columbia. And they have a little history of all the astronauts that died on those two flights. And what you didn't know was the rest of the wreckage from that is buried in one of the old missile silos on the Cape. And they keep it there. And they have just these two pieces they put out on display, which was pretty emotional when you see it. One of them is the window frames from the cockpit. They have that there, and they have the American flag from the side of the shuttle that broke off. It's so moving to see that stuff. I love it. And
I do too.
They also have, you did go to the Atlantis building, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so in that video, the first video they show a guy with a paper airplane shaped like what the shuttle was going to be. The exact paper airplane that they did that with is in that building. You can still see it. It's a little balsa wood and dope model that they built to describe what the shuttle would be. So that was pretty cool.
I'll give you one more ham radio thing on that's tied to shuttle. The up until a couple of months ago, and Mike, you probably saw it while you were there, right. Owen Garriott's radio that he used to make the first human ham radio contact from space was displayed there. Now they're redoing some of the displays and they've taken it down. They took it out this summer, but they tell us it's going to be back in there. And so we're looking forward to having that back on.
When I had Frank Bauer on, I was showing some of the pictures from that I took while I was down there, and the antenna that they put in the window of the shuttle to use that radio, they had that there, which was pretty cool to see too. So, all right, Jimmy, thank you so much. Hopefully next time I see you, I will have taken my extra and passed.
You will.
Extra. And so you have a great day, Jim. 73.
Like Take care. 73.
And thank you. All right, everybody. So that's Jim from Ham Radio Prep. And I'll give you a last look at the Hurricane Elena is to my west. It's still all the way down south, but I'm getting hit with rain bands already. So it's going to get windy over the next few hours. They said for us, midnight tonight till midnight tomorrow night is when we're going to get the most wind and rain. So hopefully we get 4 or 5 inches of rain is probably all it's going to be. And the wind doesn't get more than 50 miles an hour. That would be great. So we'll keep you posted. When you see me doing live satellite passes again, when you see me doing live satellite passes again, that means we're back to normal and I can get the radios back on and I can put the tower back up and start getting back on the ISS and some other satellites. There's some new ones I want to try out. So look for me there. This is Kilo Oscar 4, Papa Delta India. What do I always say? Don't do anything I wouldn't do, at least not without me. All right? 73.